more proud of me if I was a doctor or something.
They would maybe love me a little bit more.
A little bit.
Yeah, more. It's not even a
Yeah.
competition.
So-
You could have three Netflix specials. You could sell out arenas. And
No.
they're still trying to get you into medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should have been a doctor.
I know. It's amazing.
No, but I think we can all relate to that, definitely. But thank you so much, John, for your questions. Thank you so much. Next, we have from Natalie Tomato of the Philippine Stars. So, actually asked through Zoom also. Sorry, let me just pull that up. Okay, so, sorry, my bad. Okay, here, Natalie. A lot of people, especially Filipino fans, were introduced to you over the pandemic, JR, online. But how challenging was it to be funny during that time, and what makes you laugh nowadays?
It's interesting because I think I built my fan base more during the pandemic, like doing digital stuff. And Ryan, I know you do a lot of digital stuff too, so I'm sure you kind of experienced that where more people were at home, and then I was also not touring, so the only way to connect with people was online. And I was really fortunate to have that like work out and have people like just stuck at home laughing at my clips. So for me, I think it was digitally it was really good, but live, I mean, there was almost nothing happening. So I rarely did a live show at that time. And the one of the few times that I did do it, I actually got COVID. So then I stopped for like, it was God punishing me, you know?
Yeah. Not yet.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, who's laughing now? And so at that time, for me, it was maybe like the silver lining of having to stay at home was that I got a lot better at doing digital stuff. I learned how to edit. I bought a camera. I started making beats at home about, like, I would get a topic from people online and then I would make a beat about it. So for me, that was like the good part of it. But of course, the COVID part sucked. But I was thinking, was there another part of that question that I'm missing?
What makes you laugh nowadays? I guess for everybody can answer.
Yeah, right. Honestly, like, I have the dumbest sense of humor. Like, online videos actually make me laugh the hardest. So, like, you know, clips or the sketches, like what Ryan's doing, like those sketches. I'm addicted to TikTok and Instagram, like scrolling. Yeah. So that's probably what makes me laugh the hardest now. There was a sketch called 1-800-Gangster that I watched the other day. And it's just this thing where you can call up a gangster and talk almost like a dating hotline. And I was just crying laughing at that. So I should have said one of Ryan's clips. I was laughing at one of Ryan's clips. I mean,
I already know you laugh at those. What's making me laugh? Yeah, I think same to JR. A lot of just dumb online stuff. You know, Red actually, one of the things Red reshares a lot, I find, is kids getting hurt.
Yep, kids getting hurt. That's the best.
Sorry, I mean,
I follow that page too.
Right? I mean, a kid falling. To me, yeah, my comedy's simple. You know, someone falling down, a kid getting hurt. Sometimes you can't beat that simplicity. So,
yeah. Especially if he deserves it, you know, like the best ones are like when they're being bratty at the start, and then and something happens to them after. That's the first one.
Yeah. Them being bratty is the setup, and them falling is the punchline.
Yeah. Exactly. So you can be like the best comedian in the world, but you'll never beat kids getting hurt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you can spend years on the greatest like bit and the structure, but a kid falling down is just it's gonna be funnier than you.
Seriously.
Exactly.
For sure. It's simplicity. Like the universe coming together for that moment to happen.
Yeah.
I think nothing can beat that at all. But I just got with Natalie Tomato of Philippine Stars actually here and can ask her question, which she sent in the chat. So Natalie, if you are here, please join us. Don't be shy. You can unmute, camera on if you would love to or like to. Ooh, switching it up. Okay. Why not? Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Natalie.
Sorry. Okay,
there you are.
Okay, hi. Hi, everyone. So my question is I actually typed in my question in the Zoom chat, but I'll ask it anyway. So for everyone, I would like to know when did you first learn that you were funny? And can you also share what did you remember most from your first ever gig or a stand-up performance, and how fun was that or embarrassing? Thank you.
Why does this feels like a dating show?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Let's move forward.
For me, Ryan, and Red. Well, what's up, Natalie? Hey, hey, girl. That's a great question. Let me. Well, first of all, okay. Actually, I forgot what the question is. Sorry, I'm being. It was. When did you first find out you're funny?
Mhm.
I mean, I think like you're funniest when you're with your grade school friends. Again, like saying dumb jokes. Like that, I was funnier than I am on stage now. Like I think just hanging out with friends and doing weird voices, like impersonating people, stuff like that. I think that's when I first knew like I could make people laugh. I wasn't like a class clown, but I was like the 3 or 4 kids around me. I would be really funny for those guys. And then my first stand-up set, I did okay, but in my head I was like amazing, and I was like, okay, I should get an HBO special now. How does this work? But yeah, my first stand-up set, the main thing I remember was there was I forgot some of my jokes, and I started riffing. There was a blind lady in the audience, and we started kind of riffing together. Where like, I guess when in doubt, I just like flirt with an audience member. I think like, and that was the one thing I remember from that first set.
Thanks. I have a similar answer, I guess. Friends. That's what kind of got me into it. You make your friends laugh, and at the same time, I was watching more stand up. I was getting more interested into it, and then so just natural. I was like, maybe I could try this. Maybe it'll work. Maybe I'd be funny with strangers. My first time doing it was, I remember I was in college at the time. I was in Ateneo, and the only place I could do it was like this literary open mic. So it's all poetry readings. People with these really short stories, and then me. And I same with JR. I felt it went really well. I do remember I got laughs, so it's not, I didn't bomb. Everyone was amused that I was there to tell jokes, so it was encouraging. And then soon after that, Red and I met na in Laugh-A-Palooza. That was at that
We
time.
fell in love.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, same. It's well. First of all, thank you for the question, Madam Vice President. It's very joke lang baka baka ma-article ako ng malala dito. No, yeah, the same lang. Like you start knowing you're funny with your friends, and I think the I also started finding out I had an affinity towards funny people when I started hanging out with funny people. Like I've had like friends in high school that are like incredibly funny, and I'm just happy they didn't choose this profession because I'd be out of the job. So, you always find people in your life that are way funnier than you, and then that's when you realize that you have an affinity towards funny stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I think also with the things that you consume, if you tend to consume more funny stuff growing up, I think that would like kind of reflect on your personality.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Natalie, for your questions, and thanks for joining us here today. Thank you so much. Now let's get to questions from Josephine Bonsol of www.joebonsol.net. This for everybody. What particular funny story about the Philippines still leaves you laughing until this very day?
Yeah, you go ahead. Or
There's a
well,
lot.
I mean, the only thing I really remember that I still remember, I didn't even know this is funny. It was almost kind of sad. Was those, and if you guys are friends or related to any of these guys, those like Filipino divers in the Olympics.
Oh yeah.
Like that was like from a long time ago. I mean, I don't know. That's just one of the things I still remember. Well, I wish them luck. I don't know where they're at now, but they should open at the show too.
I remember that. Actually, a wave of memories just flashed when you said that. I do remember like how they were like really like picking each other up after their crappy dives. They're like,
yeah. I take it back. I wish those guys the best. I love them.
Sure. How about Ryan or Ren?
oh, that's a tough one. A funny thing about the Philippines is like daming hassle.
Yeah. I'm really fighting hard not to say the government, pero I already said it.
That's probably the first thing that enters our mind.
Keeps popping in my mind over and over.
That's the thing is, speaking of cancel culture, right? Talking about the government at the show, I don't know what works over there or doesn't work or what you guys can say and not say. You know? So that's something, you don't get canceled. It's like a different thing, I feel like.
No, I think you don't get canceled. I think it's just part of doing political jokes. Is just, you're just gonna anger one side and be really friends with one side.
Right.
So yeah.
I mean, maybe like some simple thing, like since we like, kids falling down and people getting hurt. One thing that also always makes me laugh is just people getting barok. I mean, it's a simple thing.
Simple.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It's effective. I'm not sure if you know barok. It's basically when someone mispronounces like an English word or it doesn't use proper English. It's classic.
Yeah, there's a clip. There's a clip that I saw where this guy, I think, was going to English, but then he started laughing at his own English. That made me laugh so hard. Yeah.
For sure. It happens to all of us. I think that's why it's funny.
And yes.
I live here and I still can barely speak the English language. So that's why I'm going to the Philippines to do shows.
Relatable. Okay, let's get to another question coming from Josephine. Who would you like to meet and collaborate among local artists? So I guess for everybody this also works.
Local being like in the Philippines?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm excited to be with Ryan and Red again. Let's romancing it up because it's just, I mean, I was so excited to do this show. Like, I think that being able to pick openers and everything too I was just excited to like work with you guys. Just so it's like beyond that. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's a bunch of people, but like just working with your friends is so fun.
For sure.
But I've already met you guys, so actually, the answer doesn't work anymore. I'll say Manny Pacquiao then. I want to play basketball with Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, and he's somewhat of a comedian.
Oh yeah.
These days.
Every
why not?
post-fight conference is really funny. But yeah.
How about Ryan and Red? Is there anybody you want to work with?
I know Ryan wants to work with Baron Geisler.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like his dream collaboration is Baron Geisler.
That's a solid okay dream.
Yeah.
So our little online digital creator channel, we do want to work with Baron Geyser only, but for a weird reason because of when he this is weird to bring up, but when he got arrested I think years back.
Yeah.
And me and the writers, we love watching that clip of where he's being super conyo in the precinct, and it just cracks us up, eh. But we're glad he's doing really well now, and I know he's a fan of Red. He's a big fan.
He keeps liking my posts, but not going to my show. So hopefully someday.
Yeah, we dream working of him in like the sense like because he's such a talented actor and he's so kind of he's
like he'd bring something very different to the table. You know what I mean? Like
So I feel if you just told him we're just gonna do this dumb comedy thing, I feel he'd just go all in on it, and that that's something that would be really fun.
I want to Google this guy now. What's his name?
Baron Geisler.
Oh, I found him. Okay.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
Like I really want to collaborate with musicians, and
Yeah.
like one of the people I really want to collaborate with is Glock 9. I don't know if you like, man, I'm such a Glock 9 fan. Glock 9 and Rico Blanco would be like two people like I want to have shows with, but uh came close to performing in front of Rico Blanco once. I was performing in this bar, and then he came in with some of friends, and then he sat outside, and I didn't know if there were speakers outside that we could hear me, or you know, but so I didn't know. I don't know if he likes me or not. Until this day, I
To be
don't.
determined.
Yeah, to be determined. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so we're gonna manifest all of these, no, in the future. Maybe our next press conference together
Ah.
is for one of those.
Pwedeng i-hook up ng mix yan.
Oh, exactly.
Oo.
Diba?
Oo.
Oh, let's go. Okay, next question is coming from Christian Melanie Lee of Manila Concert Junkies. For JR, what is your most memorable show that you did?
That's a good question too. I mean, I feel like you remember when you bomb, and then you also remember the best shows. Everything in between, you kind of just get blended together. But two of the highlights for me career-wise have probably been opening for Joe Coy at Madison Square Garden, and that was just last year. And
Damn.
then my other one was in my hometown. I performed at Memorial Auditorium. It's just this like other auditorium, again opening for these guys. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank right now. Who did I open for on that show? Oh yeah, David Keckner. And I did that show, and that was the show that the tape from that show is how I got my first Netflix special. That short one that was part of a series. So those two have been like really big ones for me to remember in my career.
And hopefully, JR de Guzman later that evening, Philippine leg.
That's the next one. I'm so excited for that one. I just feel like having the right people around and like the energy being good, that's what's going to make the show. So I'm really excited for that one too.
For sure. We're going to manifest that. Okay. Next, from Edsel Roy of starmometer.com. What is your for JR, what is your favorite joke inspired by your Filipino upbringing, and how do people from the other race relate to it? Other races.
A joke by my Filipino upbringing. My favorite joke from my Filipino upbringing. I mean, I just talk about how I learned how to sing and play music in the church, and then because my grandma took me to church like twice a day when we were growing up, and I think like talking about that. I won't do the whole joke right now, by the way, but like I think talking about that stuff. Usually, everyone just kind of gets it because like even if you're not Christian, Catholic, Muslim, whatever it is, I feel like everyone kind of relates to having that sort of strict, like conservative, religious grandparent in some way who like every problem you have, they tell you to pray. So doing it in front of other cultures, I haven't really had a problem with it or anything.
So there you go, you guys. Now we know the secret behind that. But we also have another one coming from Edsel. Since you're always on tour, do you research on what kind of audience or on a specific place that you're going to, and the kind of pattern of jokes that you have with them?
Not too much. Like the best way I can figure stuff about that city or the place that I'm going to is usually from talking to the comics from that place, because that's kind of like where I get most of my research. Like I ask people like, hey, would this work in that city, or would I need to use a different reference? And so like when I was in Malaysia, I would ask some of the locals there, like, hey, what would this joke or song that I have work here? And then I'll try to find something funny about that city that I can like start the show off with, to sort of like build that connection with the audience right away, to not just be like, hey, this is the show I do in every city. I want to establish like a connection with them that's more personal and intimate, like for that specific city too.
So I can imagine like it takes certain kind of preparation, but not too much too. I feel like with every city that you go to, especially with the difference of people who's going to be attending. But those are the questions coming from Edsel. And last but not least, from our pre-submitted questions coming from Brian Graham of Capex Official. If I'm not mistaken, I think Brian is here and is going to be asking his questions personally. Hi, Brian. Please don't be shy. Hi.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah, my question is, have you ever had audience walk out on you because they didn't like your material or they found it offensive?
Brad, damn. Damn, Brian, you're really selling the show.
It's a good last question.
That is a good last question. So honestly, real 100% straight, right? This last week, I was in Tampa, or 2 weekends ago, and there was a couple that walked out. But the story is not, it's just a random thing. So this couple, they were gone throughout my whole set. I heard later on that they were fighting. They went to the bathroom to have like a fight or argument or something, which is very nice of them to not do it at the show. But then they came back in, and I think I like asked them one thing. I was like, "Hey, how are you guys doing?" And the guy he was just already mad and walked out of the show. Now, granted, it wasn't really like specific to anything that I said, but I did have them walk out for that. So other than that, I don't remember. I feel like I've had people walk out of something before, but I'd rather have them walk out than like stay and talk, if that makes sense. It's usually like drunk people that you have to kick out.
Okay, so hopefully in the audience in the Philippines, nothing too intense happens. I think everybody's gonna have a good time anyway, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. But thank you so much, Brian, for your question. Thanks for joining us too and asking it personally. Now we have a question coming from Harold for JR Harold of whatsup.ph for JR. Are you familiar with the style of stand-up comedy in the Philippines, like slapstick, you need to be ugly to be funny, making fun of physical appearance of others, etc.? And what is your opinion about it?
I'm not super familiar with that. I mean, I'd probably, again, it's one of these things where I talk to Red and Ryan and be like, "Hey, do we have to be ugly to be funny?" And and you know what? I'm getting older. I'm getting more wrinkles. I talked about that, so I think I'm doing okay. But no, I don't know too much about it. I knew a little bit about sort of like the, not burlesque, what is it called? Like vaudeville, sort of like drag comedy shows.
Minstrel.
Yeah.
Yes.
I knew about that a little bit. And it's almost, to me, it's almost just like the same as doing crowd work in stand-up, but just as as yourself and not in drag or dressed up in a character. So I mean, I have faith in like every audience that even if it's not that style of comedy, they'll still understand what we're doing stand-up wise up there. And Ryan and Red have been training audiences to not bring babies. They've been training them how to laugh and all that stuff. So if it works, it's thanks to them. If it doesn't work, it's your guys' fault.
For sure. Meetings at the shows too. I think that's also something they've been trained for. So we're excited to see how everything goes at the show. But this is actually the last question submitted through our chat from Bix Almacen of Bix Buzz Abante. And it's for everybody. Why do you guys think girls like funny guys? Ooh.
Do they?
Yeah, when do we cash in on that?
I didn't know.
No one told us this.
I thought it was my body that they like.
Yeah.
Isn't it like, I don't want to make like a sweeping, this is what all women want kind of statement. I think it's just man, it's so hard to answer. On behalf of women, this is what I think they like. No, I think it's just preference with different kinds of things. I know for a fact that there are other women that don't like funny guys. Like they want to be the funny person. I have no idea. Like I think it's just preference with a lot of. I think we're also discovering that people have different preferences. We're not just stereotyping one perfect kind of personality and things like that. So yeah, I think it just boils down to preferences. I'd like to say I'm funny, and I like to date girls who think I'm funny. Otherwise, I wouldn't feel very worthy of her. So yeah, I think that's the answer.
I think we just give ourselves a good chance because we are always just trying to be funny, and I think there's just a certain mental thing that gets unlocked in us that conversation is just it feels different.
Yeah, we keep it going, no? Parang ganun.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
this. I guess that's a skill that gets kind of built in you. Is that you can just hold a conversation in a way that is entertaining, and I think ultimately that's what you want, I guess, out of a relationship or a date, is just want it to be fun. And yeah,
Yeah. I just, for some reason, I'm thinking about this story. This is Red and Ryan. There was this girl who DM'd me in Asia. Actually, I don't even know if I should be saying this right now. Maybe
Say
I
it.
should.
You already started it.
Sorry,
It's
you already started. You already started.
get canceled.
You
We're already at
You already
the
started it. You already
We're
started
so
it.
close to the end without getting canceled. Can I just talk about the Philippine government instead?
We'll be way safer to talk about a girl.
This girl messaged me. Okay, so this is something you guys will like, Ryan, Red, because this girl messaged me in America. She was like, what did she say? She was simply like, why are Asian guys just more interesting to talk to? And then she sent me an emoji of rice, which was kind of racist. But and I don't know why this made me think of that today. But I don't know if that answers your question, but it's a thing that happened. So
Yeah.
does that answer it? I think that's the answer, Sam.
Yeah, no, I think it boils down to vibes. If they vibe you, if you're funny or not, I think that's just what it is. I mean, but I love interacting with funny people. Obviously, I think a lot of us do. It makes, like what you guys said, everything. It's like a level up, more interesting. Like it makes things, I guess, also easier to talk. Well, for me, it's easier for me to talk to people who can keep a conversation going. So I think that answers the question. But thank you so much, Vix, for your question. And of course, all of our media friends, thank you for all of your questions here today, for Ryan, for Red, and of course for JR as well. And just so that you guys, feel rewarded after, all of your questions here today, we actually have a raffle going on right now.